Captain Mac here, and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Last time we flew from Sedona, had to think about it for a second, from Sedona up to Telluride in our Cessna Citation Longitude. And I asked you guys where you want to fly next. Now the idea here is that I want to try and keep content coming out relatively consistently on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. And I think to do that for the style that we use, the best way to do that is to continue what we're doing here in this citation right now. Try and find or fly to some more of the obscure, small, unusual, difficult airfields that we wouldn't normally fly to on this channel, because we typically fly airliners, right? We fly, 737 all the way up to 747-8, and we fly into your typical hub airports, places like Denver, Phoenix, London. These are all the kind of places we typically fly. And with this new sim, we really have a great opportunity right now to explore some of those smaller, more private or just less used airfields that we probably wouldn't really see otherwise, and really get an opportunity to enjoy those. And that's what I want to do with the series we're doing right now. And then when we start to see some good quality payware aircraft released for this sim, then we can start to fly into some of those larger cities more frequently. Not saying we won't ever go into them in this sim, and I'm not saying we won't fly any of the other default aircraft, but I will say that the default aircraft in general are not great on this sim. There's a couple that are okay, this being one of them. It's pretty decent and kind of fun to fly. The Cessna 172 is not too bad. The 152 is okay, and a few others, and then the rest of them just avoid like the plague for now. That's kind of the word on the street. So we're going to continue with that. But to keep the content a little more consistent, I have decided that I'm going to take two suggestions from you guys. And the way it works is, when I ask for suggestions, the departure airport must be the airfield we just landed at. That's how I like to do my series anyway. And then since I'm taking two suggestions, I will choose which one we go to next, and then from that we'll go to the other suggestion that I take, and then I will ask you guys again from that video to give me suggestions. So for this flight, we're going to be flying from Telluride, and we're going to fly out to Southwest Oregon Regional Airport. Now this was the first suggestion to come out. And at first I was a little, I looked at the approach and I was like, well, I don't see a lot here. And the individual that recommended it, and I apologize, I don't have your YouTube username up here or anything like that, but he said, that there are up to 20 knot crosswinds on approach, heavy fog, things like that. And whether or not we'll get those today, I don't know. We're going to use the real world weather engine, which we know is a little troubled in this flight sim, but we'll see if we get that difficult approach. But even if we don't, it's an airfield that we've never been to, we will likely not go to otherwise, and it's actually a beautiful approach. And in this sim, with as well as they've put together their graphics engine, it looks absolutely fantastic. So without further ado, let's hop in the sim, take a quick look at our flight plan, and let's get this bird in the air. Alrighty folks, as you know, when you start the aircraft on the ramp, it is going to be cold and dark. This aircraft's pretty quick to get fired up, so we'll jump into that here in just a minute. But let's take a quick look at this flight plan for the day. It's about as simple as it gets. In fact, SimBrief didn't even want to give me waypoints for it. I actually put in the waypoints from Microsoft Flight Simulator to SimBrief, just so that we'd have a couple waypoints in there. And it wasn't much. It was kind of interesting. But it's going to be from Telluride, which the takeoff itself is a little bit of a stressful takeoff. You're not only in the mountains, but you're surrounded by mountains. We're at over 9,000 feet, and it's going to be rather interesting. There is no standard instrument departure, no SID for this airport, and there is no star or arrival for Southwest Regional. And I haven't looked at approaches yet, but our total air distance is going to be 964 nautical miles, so much longer flight in this instance here. So that's a good thing, I think, for us. I changed up the aircraft. I went to a Cessna 750, which is a Citation X. Here again, I have no idea on the fuel. They don't have a longitude in SimBrief, and that makes sense. It's a new aircraft. I didn't realize how new this aircraft was. It's pretty new. But somebody suggested that it might be a C770. Whether or not that's correct, I don't know. Our tail number's wrong. I forgot to change it. It's not something I'm used to doing, so it's not going to say Captain Mac on it, and it's not going to say November 750 SB. It's whatever the default tail number is on there. That's fine. Not the end of the world for us. I didn't do a call sign either, so just keep that in mind. And as far as our fuel goes, well, we're probably just going to, put a lot of fuel in there and just see how it goes. I haven't really been paying attention to the burn rate right now, but I will try to remember to do that so that as we get to some longer flights with it, we know we're within our range as far as the sim aircraft is concerned. My understanding is you cannot go into the config file and adjust the burn rate on this aircraft either, so that's unfortunate. But all that said, we're expected for trip fuel of 4,980 pounds with a final reserve of 801 pounds. Which puts our block fuel at 8,406 pounds. Now, I don't recall what that is in gallons, so I'm going to pull up my calculator here again. Now, somebody mentioned, they said you can switch between pounds and gallons on the fuel loader for the sim. Absolutely, you can. I believe I did that in the last flight, and we'll do that again today. We'll load in pounds, but on the aircraft, it displays in gallons for some reason, which I find a little strange. But this is saying 8,406, so we divide by 6 because it's about 6 pounds per gallon. And that puts us at 1,401 gallons. Now, I don't know if this aircraft holds that much fuel or not. We're going to find out here in just a minute. Let's see. I'm not worried about our block times. 10 packs on board, which is just too shy of our max. The auto generator didn't put any cargo in there. I don't think that SimBrief associates cargo with baggage, which must be the reason it's not showing any. Payload of 2.3. Zero fuel weight is at our max. Fuel is not at our max. That is, again, is for this aircraft though. For the Citation X, not necessarily the Longitude. It puts the takeoff weight at 32.2, and again, I can't find the stats. I need to, if anybody knows somewhere where I can find some of the stats on this Longitude, other than just its range of 3,500 nautical miles for, however many packs or whatever, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if we had some stats so we knew where we stood with our actual weights and so on. Or if anybody knows where there's, or knows how to create a proper profile for this, maybe they can get in touch with the guy who does SimBrief, and we can get a proper profile in there. I think that'd be fantastic. But other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward. We're going to kind of, you almost got to wing it a little bit, right? And so that's what we're going to do. I did not look at our plan. So our planned flight altitude of 40,000, 0400. That's kind of weird. So you want us to fly at 4,000 feet? I'm pretty sure that's not going to work out. Does it say anything down here on our, let's see, flight level? Yeah, see down here it says 400. So 40,000 feet, that's what we're going to be flying at. I do know that the service ceiling for the Longitude is 45,000 feet, so we should be just fine there. You can see just the 2 waypoints in there. This one, apparently there's maybe there was 3 in there. Maybe I just didn't pay attention. Where is that route at? Kudmi, KU772I. Yeah, I don't see a 3rd waypoint, so I'm not sure where that's come from. Taking a look at our weather, 390 is going to be the closest to us. We should have some headwinds, depending on how well the real-world weather decides to function in the sim. We all know that that's questionable at times. It is an what's the word I'm looking for? It is a glitch, not a glitch. Either way, it's a problem that they're aware of. Also, if we have to, we will turn off, come on, brain function, Sim Toolkit Pro if we need to. It's a Sim Connect issue is what it is. Basically what's going on is Sim Connect is what connects this Sim Toolkit Pro to the Sim. And apparently when Sim Connect is running with Microsoft Flight Simulator, there's an issue. They're aware of it. They did their notes for their patch release that's coming up here sometime in the next few days, and that is one of the issues that's being addressed. So if we need to, we'll shut down Sim Toolkit Pro, and we'll pull up, what do you call it, the desktop charts app if we need it for charts and all that good stuff. So anyway, that's a whole lot of talky talk. Let's jump back in the aircraft, and let's get this bad boy fired up. Alrighty, let's get a little power on this aircraft. It's pretty quick with this bad boy. Control 7 brings you down here. External power is immediately available. So we'll go ahead and get that on. Get our battery left and right on and open the bus tie. We can take a look at our little checklist here. I don't think it's that useful, primarily because it only gives you the initial inspection and the engine start. It doesn't really give you anything else, but whatever. We can go through it real quick here. I think it's this guy here. Park and brake is set. Hold on. Coughing in your face there. So we can check that off. Battery switches are on. We didn't turn the gen switches on, so jump back up here real quick. So left and right gen, those two coming on. There we go. Tick those off. And then we haven't started the APU quite yet. We'll do that after fuel planning. So we'll go ahead and click that back off for now. And then let's jump to this guy here. And let's take a look at the flight plan. Let's see if it loaded it in this time. Give it a second. There we go. So last time I started putting it in and it didn't work out very well for us. Now this has us going up to 44,000 feet. I don't think that's going to work out. We're going to go with flight level 400, so 40,000. Enter that, and we'll put that in here as well. There we go, and then that's pretty much it. That's to the destination. Now again, there are no departures or arrivals for our flight today. You can see no departures. They don't exist anyway, so I'm not overly concerned about it here. There is a way, I doubt it's in this aircraft, but in the real aircraft you can actually pull up charts on this guy here. So you can have your engine and all that stuff and your map and all that showing here on the left side of the oh man, the nav display. And then this is kind of the nav display slash ICAS slash all that good stuff. This is a Garmin 5000, I think is what it is, or that's what it's supposed to be in the real aircraft anyway. But either way, you can pull up your charts on here, but in this instance we cannot. And so let me just pull up open charts. We don't have to worry about cold temperature table. It'd be fun to come back here in the winter. I think we should definitely do that. But again, no departures for this airport. So it's going to pretty much just be a taxi out to the runway and then off we go. But what we do need to do is listen to the ATIS. So since ATC is finally working, which is always a fantastic thing, I'm going to pull this up on the other screen. If you just click on that, that's how you undock the window. So let's tune to the automated weather and listen real quick.
Kilo Tango Echo X-ray automated weather observation 1400 Zulu. Wind 170 at 8. Visibility, tree. Sky condition, few clouds at 900 feet, few clouds at 4,000 feet. Temperature, 12 C dew point, 10 C altimeter 29996. Kilo Tango Echo X-ray automated weather observation 1400.
Click on, so I clicked on ground services, it doesn't do anything. So if I pop this back over here for you, I clicked ground services, it just took me back to clearance. So let's go, there is no, we should get, yeah, so this is going to be common with these smaller airfields. We can get clearance after departure. You know, we want to do ATC. POSCON is coming along fantastic. I will say this, the ATC, the default ATC in this sim reminds me very much of the default ATC in FSX. It asks you to do things that just don't make a lot of sense, so I don't know how much we'll use it. But we did get our weather from it. We're going to use runway 9 for our departure right now. We're technically scheduled for runway 27, but with the wind 170, runway 9 is going to make a lot more sense. If we just take a look at our chart real quick, this is sort of our taxi briefing as well. So we're right up here on the ramp. Obviously we taxi down here for 27, but it's going to make a lot more sense for us to back taxi and use runway 9 because the wind is 170. So assuming magnetic headings here, if this is 9, that would be north this way, right? You can see there's a 9-degree deviation, magnetic deviation. That's the term I was looking for. That's the difference between true north and magnetic north. But either way, 170 is going to be coming off of the side a little bit down here. So runway 27 will give us a little tailwind on departure. We had enough trouble with that on our arrival and approach. So we're going to leave it as is. We just did our AWAS at 18.32, and then Denver radio on 22.15 once we're off the ground. CTAF is what we're on right now at 123, and Denver Center on 25.35. And there are going to be some obstacles. So that's runway 27, visual climb over airport for runway 27. That's requires ATC approval. And then takeoff obstacle notes. There are a lot here. A lot. Is there any for runway 9? Are these all for runway 27? I see runway 27 right here. I'm looking for runway 9. And I am not seeing runway 9. Which is interesting. Maybe it's just I'm not seeing it amidst all this text, because there's so much written here. So maybe you guys see it or something, but I'm not seeing that runway 9 has any obstacles. So that may be our cliff edge down, here, vice going this way with the mountains are behind us. That's the only thing I can assume there. So we'll consider that our taxi and departure brief as well. Flight plan is already in there. 29906 is what she said. And on this one, you can hit the Bravo key as well to not only sync up, but to just quickly adjust your altimeter settings. So that's kind of handy that it's one of the same keys it was in FSX. But I think we're pretty much ready to go here. So I'm going to fire up the APU real quick. That's this guy back here. So put it to on, put it to start. It'll click back to on by itself. And you can see the APU firing up down here. So I'm going to let that spin up. Then I'm going to come back on. We'll disconnect the ground power, push back, and we'll get out of here. Alrighty, so not normally the view we would use for pushing back, but we're going to go ahead and go with it because I think it makes it a little bit easier. So we'll go Shift P for the pushback. We should see him coming up here shortly. We are on APU. There he is. He's making his way up there slowly. We'll come back out to this external view here in a minute for pushback. I don't know how to get it to turn during pushbacks. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to push straight back into here. I might have him push me way back to here. I don't know, because this thing doesn't like to turn very sharp at all. I am noticing a couple of terrain issues here. I wonder if the ground is just cut straight away like that in real life. Or look, you see he went right through the wheels there. Where's he going? What the heck? What is he doing? Come on. Oh, there he is. Let's hop inside the aircraft real quick and let's turn the parking brake off. That'll make pushback go a little bit smoother here. And then we'll jump back out here. Yeah, so I wonder if the ground's actually cut away like that or what, but either way, we're going to push this back just a little ways here. It looks like we're getting just a touch of that choppiness. It's pretty frustrating, to be honest with you, to have choppiness on a sim that's supposed to run so amazingly, and in fact should be running so amazingly. But it is what it is. So, yeah, I don't know how to get him to turn the aircraft. It'd be great, like if I hit the number
Kilo
one.
Tango Echo X-ray
Nope,
automated
that's
weather observation
my bad. That's for the ATC. So, yeah, I could look it up. I just haven't really dug into it too much. So I'm going to have him push us pretty much back until we're right up in here so that we can try and make that turn right there. So while he's pushing us here, let's hop back inside the aircraft. Let's go ahead and get those engines fired up. Remember, it's pretty easy start in here. We could finish our checklist really quick. The APU obviously is on, stabilized. Bleed is back here. It's already on normal. Gen switch is on, otherwise we'd be in trouble. External power is off, and then the battery amps are charging. So those are good. And then for starting the engines, it's power levers at idle, which they are. And then starting with the right engine, the run stop engine, click that to on, close the guard, and then push the start button. We've done that. And then monitoring. And so if we jump down here, we can monitor, and we're looking for ITT to rise within 20 seconds, which it's already come. Oh, well, it's not coming up, it's just sitting at 52. So we're just looking for that ITT to start rising, which it will here shortly. There it goes, and then the oil pressure and all that good stuff. Now I want to make sure we don't collide with the terrain back here, because that would be bad. We do have collisions turned on, so just keeping an eye on things back here, make sure we don't run into anything. Look, he's going to drive right into us, watch. Oh, he didn't. I'm shocked. I thought he would just drive right into us. I do love that, like, there's this hill right here, which, you know, that's just something you haven't seen in FSX. This whole airport would have been flat. It just takes away from the beauty of the approach into an airfield like this, right? So, you know, it's the mountainous terrain and whatnot that makes it so awesome. Like, there's the hill's starting to go up right here, and he's going to pretty much park us on it. So we're probably going to have to put the parking brake on before we have him stop. And that is just to make sure we don't roll right back into him. So I think that's probably good there. We'll jump back in the aircraft, put the parking brake on. I know that's not the right way to do it, but this way we're stopped as he pulls away. So, all right, engine number 2 is running. Let's go ahead and fire up engine number 1. Left click that guy, close the cover, push the start button, and let the engine do its thing. Now we'll be back on here shortly, and we will go ahead and get ready to taxi and depart. Alright, so engine number 1 is stabilizing. I just want you guys to know I did take care of the fuel. See how it shows it in gallons, right? So we have a total of 856 gallons of fuel, which is, I don't know, let's do the math real quick. This is where I'm running into a bit of an issue. So 856 times 6, it's 5,000 pounds of fuel. 5,136 to be precise. So that's the issue I'm running into with the fuel here, is that it shows it as gallons on the aircraft. Not really sure why, not sure if that's how it shows it in real life, but that's what we have. We have 855 now gallons of fuel, vice 5,000 pounds of fuel. So just trying to let's see, there's my trim, nose up trim. Let's bring in, we're gonna run flaps 2 for this departure because the air is so thin, the runway's short, all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and get the APU off at this point. So we'll just left clicker to the off position, and there you go. You see the APU coming down. Let's go ahead and turn the APU gen off, and let's hop up top here, which should be, I think it's not that one, it's not that one. Oh, you know what? We need to put this to FMS though. Nav to FMS. There we go. Oh, excuse me. Let's see. Jump up here. So landing lights, again, for some reason they're just on all the time. Wing inspection, anti-collision. Anti-collision, I think, is your strobe lights, isn't it? So that probably shouldn't come on until we're on the. Let's put this all the way up to arm. Until we're on the runway, but. With this aircraft, it's a little hard to tell. What else? I wanted to go to, didn't I make a, that's 9, 0, I'm trying to find the view for that. That's control 2. And if we look down over here, so we want to set our speed, maybe, Oh yeah, we gotta shift that guy and then come up here. And we're gonna go to 250. Actually, we're gonna get above 10,000 pretty quick, so I'm gonna set our speed to 300 initially. We're actually gonna have to slow it down during the climb, otherwise we'll exceed our maximum speed. Altitude, so we said we're going up to 400, so let's put that on there. There we go. And arm the flight director, or turn the flight directors on. No auto throttle yet. And I think that's it. Oh, runway heading would probably be a good idea, right? And that is going to be 096. Come on. There we go. Don't be a bugger. So 09, and then if you click it, you get them one at a time. There you go. 096, like that. All right, so that takes care of all of our after start and before taxi items. Let's take one quick last look and wrap up our checklist here. All of our engine start stuff has been completed. Everything is monitored. We're ready to go, and I'll be back in just a second. Alrighty, folks, we are ready to rock and roll. Let's announce our takeoff here, well, our taxi. So we're selecting runway 9. And then announce taxi.
Kilo Tango Echo X-ray
Check our coming on a little jump. There we go.
And
let's get that brake off. There we go. And I think we're going to need a little more nose up trim, so I'm just bringing in a little on there. And let's get those throttles coming up. Not sure how much we're going to need to get moving here, but we're going to find out, aren't we? And we're going right there. I just bumped my microphone. Come on, bird, get moving. There she goes. Alright, let's get this guy out of the way. I don't like when the little mouse pointer is in your face constantly. No legitimate TCAS on this thing, so we're just going to have to kind of suck it up. Now, I'm holding the throttles back, and I want to bring them all the way to idle. It stops pretty quick usually. I want to see if it'll roll down the hill. We are getting the choppiness. I'm going to turn Sim Toolkit Pro off for now. Just hit OK on that. That should help with our choppiness. Now again, see, we're at a stop right now. Let me get it just moving. I just want to get it to crest the hill here. It should roll down the hill on its own. So there we go. You saw it stop pretty quick, pretty easily. I just need to get it enough to come over this hill. There we go. And then I want to see if it rolls all the way down the hill or if it stops on the hill. Because in real life on this hill, even though it's not super steep, this aircraft should absolutely roll all the way down the hill, and it is. It's rolling on its own. I have the throttles at idle right now. No aircraft on approach either end. Look at that runway. Look at the slope on that. That's pretty cool. So all of that speed we just gained was just rolling down the hill. That's all it was. So we're back taxiing here, and we need to bring a little toe brake in because this thing does not like to turn. It's going to be difficult turning up there. So we're kind of on a little downhill slope as we're heading down the runway here. For obstacles on departure, but I guess not. Anyway, that's fine. So it's going to be really tough to get this plane to turn around here. It really is, because they don't have any turnaround point. There has to be one in real life, right? I mean, there has to be a turnaround point here because you have to back taxi on this thing. So I'm trying to keep my speed nice and slow because the slower you're going, the better this aircraft turns. Now, in the real world, you do not want to go off the edge of the runway because there's no guarantee that the asphalt over here has the strength to hold the weight of your aircraft. But in our case, we're going to have to just deal with it. It is a sim, so nice and slow here, just bringing in a little thrust, a little at a time. I don't want to be going fast, I don't want to speed up, I just want to get us turned around. So we'll get her up nice and close here, and then we'll swing her as tight as she'll swing, and you see therein lies the issue. So even with a little toe brake, and I'm going to have to bring in some extra thrust, because we need toe brake to get her to turn. See that? There's no way this aircraft doesn't turn a little bit tighter, if you ask me. I would think it turns quite a bit tighter. I got the engines up pretty high to help us through the turn as we're applying brakes. There we go. And then let's just bring her over here and center her up a little bit. And right about there. Bring her back. And that pretty much centers us up there, doesn't it? I think that's pretty much good to go. Now, because, okay, no, you know, my brain wasn't functioning properly. Runway 9, no, I was right. Runway 9 should have all the obstacles, right? But they didn't list any obstacles for runway 9. Isn't that strange? Oh well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to hold the brakes, come up a little over 50% here on the thrust. Release, and thrust mode. Well, no thrust mode, just full thrust. I didn't even look at what our rotate speed was. That was my fault. We're just going to have to suck it up and wing it. It's probably going to be somewhere around 145 knots. That'd be my guess based on our last flight and the altitude. Oh man, it's so touchy when you touch the what do you call it? Come on, brain, work. Well, we're going to rotate here because the airplane's trying to rotate on its own anyway. So, rotate. And watch that mountain there. Gear coming up.
Landing gear.
Ooh, that was tight.
Landing gear.
And let's take out that first setting of flaps, and we needed way more nose up trim than that. Look at that, guys. Woo, that looks beautiful, doesn't it? Wow. Alright, let's not overdo it here. As our speed increases, the nose wants to come up more. And you see there's all that bounciness we had before. Okay, we're surrounded by mountains. So, the idea here is I want to climb out, because I know we can get over those mountains ahead of us. We certainly don't want to turn left. We won't clear those. We could turn right, but you see we got some peaks right there. Trying to get track IR to the right spot so you can see that. So I'm going to just continue in this very rapid climb. Alright. And again, we're kind of bouncing all over the place. But we're going to just continue climbing out here. Let's go ahead and take out the last setting of flaps. So flaps all the way up. Nose is going to come down a little. That's alright. We're clear of those peaks right now. I'm not overly worried about it. But we're not clear of these peaks over here quite yet. That's why we're continuing straight ahead here. Is that a waterfall or a road? Alright, so letting that speed come up a little more. You can see we're well over 10,000 feet already. Let's go ahead and get the taxi lights off. Can't turn the landing lights off. There we go, taxi lights off. Let her keep climbing here. Alright. Ooh, it's bumpy. Now it would be bumpy over the mountains. It would be absolutely bumpy over the mountains. We don't want to overdo it though. Alright. Alright, let's go ahead and let's go to VNAV, Autopilot, and Nav. And then we need to get that VNAV coming up. Well, maybe we'll crash into the mountains then. VNAV is not working. Oh, wait a minute. Vertical speed. VNAV doesn't work right. I don't want to climb at 4,400 feet per minute though. 2,500 for the moment, that's what I want. And let's put the auto throttles on. There we go. We're going to need that because look, we're about to overspeed. There we go. Ooh, we cut that close. Way too fast. I'm still getting used to this airplane. There's a lot of little things to do in different places to do them, like auto throttle being down here and so on. It's kind of weird. Kind of difficult. Alrighty folks, I think we're good to go here. So, gears up, flaps are up, lights are off. We'll be crossing transition altitude here shortly, and that means, ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it, it is time once again for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alrighty folks, we're a little ways out from top of descent yet. We had to calculate it ourselves again. It's going to be 104 nautical miles. We're going to have to continue to probably calculate our own top of descent in this aircraft, and that's fine. Now, I came on here a little bit early. Just wanted to show you a couple of things, but before I dive in, let's take care of this approach briefing real quick. We're going to take a run at the ILS or Localizer Runway 5 approach. Now I'm using the desktop application for Navigraph charts just because we're having some issues with the Sim Toolkit Pro and specifically with Sim Connect, and it's causing the stuttering, and we're still waiting for that update to come out that's supposed to help fix that. So let's go through our typical approach brief here. Aorous is going to be on 135.075, Seattle Center on 27.55. North Bend Tower or CTAF is going to be on 18.45 and ground on 27.1. Localizer frequency is 108.5, which I did figure out how to set it. I'll show you that here in a minute. With a final approach course of 046 degrees. The NDB is our glide slope intercept, 865 feet. Now, I'm not sure why it says NDB on there. That's kind of weird. I mean, this is an NDB, the Emire NDB out here. So I guess that's just how it's referencing it. So that's interesting. But anyway, so there you have it, 865 foot glide slope intercept. ILS decision altitude is conditional, but at 216 feet MSL or 200 feet ATL, which I need to change that. I'll show you how to do that as well here in a minute. Airport elevation is 17 feet. Touchdown zone elevation is at 16 feet. Missed approach, climb to 600 feet, then a climbing left turn to 2,300 feet direct to the OT NDB, that's the Emire NDB, and then hold, continue climbing in the hold at 2,300 feet. Transition altitude 18,000 feet as always. So what we have here, this is a procedure turn here. I've never done a procedure turn, to be honest with you. So, not sure what we're going to do here yet. Right now, we are en route to Emire, which is the NDB here, and that's I've got us scheduled to be down to 1,300 feet by the time we get to Emire, actually. So we may change that up a little bit. Again, I've never tried to fly a procedure turn, and I don't know if it's got the procedure turn program in there or not. It's really just kind of weird because it's got a bunch of USR, which I guess are user waypoints that it put in there for the approach, so we'll see how that works out. But basically how this should work is we should come in over Emire and then down here until just after we cross least, which is 8.8 nautical miles from the VOR over here, and then we would start our procedure turn. So it'd be a left turn to 181 degrees, and if I'm not mistaken, again, I haven't flown one of these before, you would fly this for 1 minute, and then you would make a 180-degree turn back around this way to intercept the localizer. Now, I could be wrong about that, and if I am, feel free to say so down in the comments, but it's my understanding that's basically how a procedure turn works. Now, whether or not we're actually going to do the procedure turn, I honestly don't know yet. Still working on learning the aircraft a little bit, and there is some, flying in the sim, especially when it hops all over the place all the time. That might be rather difficult, but we'll see how it goes, and we'll just take it as it comes. It shouldn't be too difficult either way. So if we do the procedure turn, then over the NDB, we should be at 2,000 feet. We make our procedure turn, which takes us out to 10 nautical miles from the VOR. Inbound to 046 degrees and down to 1,300 feet by the time we get to least. And then down to 900 feet beyond least until we get to our glide slope intercept, and then in from there. Now you can see that the glide slope intercept is actually above the glide slope, which is rather interesting. It is not uncommon for the visual approach indicator, which it would be our PAPI lights, and the instrument approach indicator to not line up with each other. And typically you would find that the instrument approach would put you a little bit higher, and that looks like it's very much the case here. So, I don't know, it's got us at 900 feet here. It shows glide slope intercept here, but to actually be on the glide slope would be an intercept here, and I don't know, the whole thing's kind of weird. I don't even know if I can get this thing to fly an ILS yet. I haven't tried it. So we're going to see how it goes. But we should have Mauser lights and Pappy lights on the right-hand side. Here's what we're looking at our minimums, depending on runway visual range. That's what this is down here. Should have at least a half-mile runway visual range. If well, it's the same for either one. I don't know why it does it like this. The runway visual range for full ILS with everything, well, with everything there, all the lights and everything working, is a half-mile for both of these. So I'm not really sure why they have a difference here. And then if the glide slopes out, it's 400 feet. So there you have it. There's our approach briefing. Nothing too crazy, except that procedure turn might be interesting. Now, let's hop on here real quick. I do want to show you a couple of things. So first, let's jump over here. Something I didn't mess with before, PFD settings. You can change wind display and all that stuff. So I've got the wind display on there now. You can turn this angle of attack visual thing off. I like having it on. But let's go to the radios real quick. So for the nav radio, I figured it out. So 108.5 is our approach, right? So this is the opposite one here. But here's the transfer button right here. So if you click on this, so now you see it's got 110.5 on there, but I want 108.5 on there. So click on it, 108, put in your frequency, hit transfer, and now that is my active nav1 frequency. Bearing on nav1, it doesn't, now if this just lets me select what bearing 1 is. So I've got it set to nav1, and then up here is where we should be setting our course. So left course should be 046 degrees. Where are you at? It's not showing up anywhere on there, is it? Adjust selected course to the right. Oh, and then that would be to the left. I'm assuming it's not showing up on here. Here's our course setting, 274. Is it changing? No, it's not. And I'm assuming that's because we're flying on the FMS right now. So that's something to keep in mind there. But that shows us how to change, at least we can see how to change the frequency now, because I didn't like that before. Now looking at the flight plan here, you can see that it's got us going from we are currently going from KU-72I down here to Admire. It's got us at 40,000. We're not even at 40,000 feet. We had a really high angle of attack, which meant we were just too heavy for that altitude. I brought it down to 36,000 or 34,000, 36,000. Okay, so we're flying at 36,000. That's where we're going to stay for now. So you see these user waypoints here? These are what I'm talking about. I believe, so this shows to 196, which would be wrong, and then 308, and then 61, and then 61 degrees to least. So that's not even close to the route you're supposed to take. Like, you should cross over Admire, and then it should be least, should come next, and then it's a left turn to 181 degrees, and so on. So you see what I'm saying? It's really weird, and we could zoom out a little further here, but it's not really going to show us what, you know, even zoomed all the way out, it's not going to show us that. It's too far out to show us what that approach looks like. So it's hard to say how that's going to actually look for the aircraft. So we may just end up flying by hand, in which case, I don't know, we'll just we'll figure it out from there. We should be able to, if we switch to nav1, and we make, let's see. So we've got nav1 on here. I don't think I've got nav2 on though. Let's try this. So bearing 2, if I put this on nav2, all right, and then let's go back down here. So there's the data for nav2. There's no data right now, and there's no data for nav1 right now. Okay, and that makes sense. Now if I come over here and I go to my nav radios, I go to nav2, and I set nav2 to 112.1, 10, which is the OTH VOR. All right, transfer that in, so 112.10, and use the DME off of that. Then as we cross over and mirror, I should be able to watch the data from nav2 if it's giving me data. I should be able to watch our distance measuring equipment from here, and as soon as I hit you know, 8.9, if you will, it's 8.8 is where least is at. If I hit 8.8, I know I'm at least. start a left turn to 181 degrees, and then so on from there. You get where I'm coming from? So that may be how we run it. We'll see what happens. It's going to remain to be seen. The last thing I want to show you real quick is the minimums. You can set those right here. I set it to 216, but that's not the radio altimeter. That is the baro, right? So we want to set baro at 216, enter, and then there you have it. So it's still 216. It's showing up right there. There's a lot of information on here, and it doesn't let me really clean it up. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Yeah, we can change brightness and stuff, but that's really about it. That's inoperable, that's inoperable, everything's inoperable. So yeah, we'll just kind of take it as it comes. But right now what I'm looking at is Admire, and I want to get down to, I want to be at 2,000 feet at Admire. So if we're at 36,000 feet, and we subtract 2,000 feet, that's 34,000 times 3 divided by 1,000 gives us 102 nautical miles. So at 102 nautical miles from Admire, if I start my descent at about 1,800 feet per minute, that'll get me approximately within where I want to be, and I can adjust as I get a little closer if I need to hit 2,000 feet by the time I get to Admire. And so that's just a very general and generic way to calculate your Tampa descent, and then you have to make changes as you go to get where you want to go, and so on. Now, I was using comms. I didn't use them properly. I didn't announce when we were clear of the runway and all that. It's really awkward to me clicking buttons for comms rather than just talking. So anyway, once again, they wanted us to go to an altitude that didn't make sense, and I gave up on it. It doesn't function the way it should. No big surprise there, right? So that's it. That takes care of our descent preparations as well as our approach checklist. So I'll see you guys back on here. Oh, just so you know, this is weather. It is showing weather on here, and that's all of this we can see up there. So we may get the fog that was discussed for this approach. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully everything works out for this ILS, but we'll find out here in a little bit. Alrighty folks, we are just about, in fact right now, 11 nautical miles from Admire. We're going to do everything we can to fly this ourselves. Ooh, that was about the nastiest jolt I think I've ever seen. Did you see that aircraft get rocked just now? Yowza. Anyway, so we're on heading mode right now, heading straight to OTH VOR, or approximately straight to. So what we're going to do is, actually we're trying to head straight to Admire. So as we cross Admire, we're going to, well, first of all, we need to descend much faster here. I had to slow my rate of descent because of the mountains. And you can see we're just coming in over those. So it's going to be cutting it close either way. But yeah, we'll just see what happens here. Now you're going to get the landing gear warning every time we slow down.
Landing gear.
There it is.
Landing gear. Landing
We do need another setting of flaps coming in.
Landing gear.
That'll help us slow down as well. And it's going to keep giving us that warning. But you can see there's the airport there. So as we're about to cross Admire, what we want to do, and I know the flap setting is technically here, but that angle of attack is really high. Look at it. Look at our angle of attack right now. It's ridiculous. So anyway, as we cross Admire, we're going to turn left to 226 degrees. We're going to kind of maintain this view here. You can't see much anyway. It's a little cloudy out. It's not bad. There's a few clouds here and there. Wind is calm. Altimeter 3007. So overall, we're looking pretty good here. We're 4 miles from Admire right now. So again, the idea is cross over Admire, turn to 226 degrees. I'm going to bring this down to 160. Look at that! Look at that angle of attack. Is ridiculous. That would be nerve-wracking, honestly, in the aircraft, if you ask me. Anyway, so we'll turn left to 226 degrees, and we'll fly until we get about 8.9 from the OTH VOR, which is right here. That's on our nav 2. So you can see here it's showing 3.9 nautical miles right now. That's why I'm in this view, just so that you guys are able to see. We do need to turn left a little right now, though. I can tell you that.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Probably not that far, though.
Landing gear.
Because here's OT, which is Emire, and we need to go straight to that right now. So,
Landing gear.
see, I don't see how we're 1.2 nautical miles from that when this is 20 nautical miles out. Yeah, I think we probably got cheated there a little bit.
Landing gear.
Shut up with the landing gear already.
Landing gear.
That's really obnoxious, isn't it?
Landing gear.
Yeah, not really sure why it's
Landing gear.
saying we're 2 nautical miles from it.
Landing gear.
I'm not seeing that here. I'm seeing like 10 nautical miles from it.
Landing gear.
Would you seriously stop already?
Landing gear. 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 Landing gear.
What is it? I have to be in landing gear because I'm flaps 2?
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Well, how fast are you supposed to fly this freaking thing then?
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
Okay, hold on a second here, guys. Let me get this to 240.
Landing gear.
Actually, I don't want it that far. Come on.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Oh my goodness, this is just freaking ridiculous. Come on! Look at that.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Okay, we're gonna have to bring our speed back up a little bit because we're gonna have to take one of those flap settings out.
Landing gear.
190, not 2,000. Holy crap! You see that thing? Like it went all the way up to 200 knots like immediately. Ooh, that's just crazy. Okay, we're definitely coming up on Emire now. Yeah, see, now it looks like it's giving us a little bit more. See, it's... I don't know. This thing doesn't make any sense to me at all, you guys. Doesn't make any sense at all. And you can't see nothing really right now. I mean, look, the clouds are pretty thick where we're at right now. So we're kind of at the mercy of the systems of this aircraft. So... either way, it's turned to 226, left turn to 226 here shortly. Yeah, see it's bouncing around. It doesn't know what we're doing. Look, now it says we're 2.1. Which is it? Now it's 2, 1.9. It can't decide how far we are from it. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we're just going to cross, if I can ever get... oh my gosh, that is just absolutely atrocious. Look at that. That click point is so small. Come on. Ah, I need it to be on that click point. There, 226. We're crossing over right now, 226 degrees. Holy cow. Let's get the proper view here. Track IR coming on. No, not yet. Okay, we're going to fly this until... we get to 8.8 on here, and then it's a left turn to 181 degrees, maybe. So we're just watching this. We'll be there. You can see least is right there. You see how it had it set up here? That's not the way you're supposed to fly it. So, yeah. So 181 degrees, left turn to 181, coming up here shortly. And I hate that it's, I don't like it. I don't like the way it does increments of 10 every time you spin it with the mouse wheel. There's 0.6, 0.7, and 0.8. So there's 176. See, that's too far. Come on. 80, 81. Okay, there we go. 181. And then we're supposed to fly this until we reach 10 nautical miles. Is what it says, and that's where we make our turn, but we're almost at 10 nautical miles already. Okay, let's bring in the next setting of flaps, and the gear can come down. We're gonna need it. We're gonna need it to slow down. There's 10 nautical miles already. Now we're supposed to make a right turn to 001. So, ooh, that's 011. There we go, 001. So there's our right turn to 001, and then we're supposed to fly this until we intercept. Yeah, we'll see how it works here. Let's let it come all the way around, and then as it starts to come around, we'll go ahead and hit the approach button there, And then we can also descend to 1,300 feet here. So let's set the altitude 1,300 and then vertical speed. Come on, vertical speed. We'll just set it 1,000 feet per minute. That's fine. That'll take us down to 1,300. Yeah, look, there's no way that's gonna line up. Look at that. That's insane. Well, I guarantee we overshot that. Because look, we're gonna be way left of the course. Oh my gosh, what is this thing doing? Let's see if it grabs it. I doubt it will. I think we need to go way more to the right here. Because look, we're left of course. This is our final approach course. We're way left of course. And we shouldn't be. We should be right of course. Oh, I don't think we're going to even find this friggin' airport, man. Okay, Alt 1. I mean, you can't see anything. Oh my goodness. This is going to be a mess, guys. It's going to be a mess. 149 on the speed. Oh, we're about to find out here, aren't we? 150's fine by me. Let's get the rest of our flaps in. I don't even know where the airfield is. So we're on a really, really sharp angle here. The airfield should be to our left. Should be. But who knows? And I don't see this thing moving at all. Whoa. Oh, did it just grab it? Oh, it did. It just grabbed it. Okay. From the store too? The doctor's appointment was quick, huh? Okay. I'll be done here in just a minute. Okay, thanks, honey. Okay, love you. Wife was just checking in briefly there. So we're waiting for it to grab the glide slope now. There it is. It grabbed the glide slope too. So it is flying the ILS. So that's nice, and we need it because we can't see it anyway. Wow. That was just, everything about that was really, really difficult, wasn't it? Track gyre coming on, little jump here. There we go. Everything about that was difficult. So what's our go around altitude is 2,300. So let's put that there, 2,300. And we're looking for the runway, and I think I have it in sight here. So let's take the auto throttles off, because we need to slow down anyway. Look how high we are. But remember, that glide slope is much higher, right? Okay, so let's take the autopilot off and bring in just a little thrust here.
500.
Not that much thrust. Okay, we're a little low, just a little. It's going to be a tough approach. There we go. That's where we want to be. Come on, nose down. There we go, not too bad. Alright, let's put her on the numbers here. Well, not on the numbers, but you know what I mean. Let's get her nice and clean in here. Short runway. See if we can hear some call-outs. Nothing. Settle. There we go. Oh, whoa, what is that? The nose doesn't want to come down. Woo-wee. That was actually pretty smooth. Wow. I wouldn't say that was one of my best landings, but that wasn't too bad. But what was with the whole, like, it still had some air under it, didn't it? Like, it touched down and then it just sort of floated on that rear gear. That was pretty crazy right there. Not too bad though. Certainly a lot better than our last landing, I think, overall. And I was really glad to see that it did intercept the localizer and the glide slope. Didn't have any real issues there, so that was nice. We got those flaps coming all the way up. Let's get that APU started here. There we go. APU's coming up right now. Now I do want to say that I had to add fuel. We were down to almost 0 on our fuel, and I had to add fuel in there. Let's get the taxi lights on. We can't turn the landing lights off, unfortunately. And I had to add fuel, and if you look right now, we're at 147 gallons. I added it, I put it back up to 215. We were down, we had, I think we had like 30 or 40 gallons left. Now, probably enough fuel to make it. However, comma, pause for effect, this was a 900 mile flight, right? 900 something miles, and we started with full tanks. Now, granted, full tanks make the aircraft heavier, and it means you're going to burn a little more fuel, but certainly not the amount of fuel we burned. If this thing has a 3,500 nautical mile range, and I do want to note, I didn't add any passengers. Let me just show you here real quick. So I didn't add any, we just have 2 in there, right? And I had to add fuel, and you can see we're only at 17%. We were down to like 2% on our fuel, and that's why I went ahead and added some fuel in there, because I was like, oh crap, that's not good at all. All right, hold on one sec here. I'm just looking on the other screen so I can grab a taxi chart. All right, so we landed on runway 5. We're coming back. We're going to be looking for Bravo up here. We do need to cross over runway 13. Anyway, but I added fuel because otherwise we would have run out. So here's the deal. Look at the fuel burn rate. It's in pounds per minute. There's no way. So while we were at cruise at 36,000 feet, it showed that it was burning per side 1,322 pounds of fuel per minute. Okay, now that can't possibly be right. It could be that it shows pounds per minute in the real aircraft, but there's no way this thing is burning 2,000 pounds of fuel per minute. Not if it's got a 3,500 nautical mile range. Come on, go. Doesn't want to go right now. I brought the throttles way up. So clearly there's a problem there. That is not, there's no way that that's correct. Scratching my leg, sorry. So yeah, not really sure what to say about that, except that the fuel burn rate is clearly way off. Okay, so Bravo's what we're going to be taking here. So that, and I went through while we were at cruise, I went through come on, brain work. I went through the config files, if you will. I can't find a config file. There's several different configuration files for the aircraft, but none of them show anything about fuel. They show like a max fuel burn or what your max airspeed should be at cruise altitude, things like that, for max range, but they're not showing, there's nothing that shows what the burn rate is supposed to be, like, so I can change it. So I couldn't change the burn rate on the fuel. That's what it comes down to. I couldn't change the burn rate of the fuel, and therefore that's a problem. That's a serious problem, as a matter of fact. This probably isn't where you'd park this fancy thing, but I've never been to this airport. It's a cool little airport, neat little approach. We didn't have the fog, but we did need that ILS, which was nice. So I appreciate that. And then, you know, I think the only downside to that is you don't get to see how pretty it is here, especially in this sim, without all the clouds. So hopefully when we depart from here, it'll be a lot prettier. That's the only way to put it. Hopefully it'll look a lot prettier. But really great idea for this approach. Initially when I first saw it, I thought, well, you know, it's pretty straightforward, but actually it's a neat little approach. It's not a lake. It's actually an inlet. You can see right here. So this isn't a lake. This is an inlet from the ocean. Maybe that's not the right term. I don't know. I'm not that good at geography, I guess. But my point is it ended up being a really cool little approach and a little more difficult than expected. And the airplane did not really want to settle, did it? Just like it doesn't want to go now, it didn't want to settle down onto the runway. We brought it in pretty smooth, though. That was actually, I'm pretty happy with that landing. It started to float a little. We just brought that nose forward just a little bit to keep it from floating too much on us. And then it just kind of settled. I don't know what the wing wobble was all about. I don't think I moved the yoke, but maybe I did. Maybe I moved the yoke, and with you know, the wing's still generating some lift. What would be nice is if it had some auto spoilers. It does not, and I don't think to myself to grab the spoiler handle and pull it up. And so if I had, that would be a good thing, because that would my brain doesn't want to work right now. If I pulled the spoiler handler, if I pulled the spoiler handle up as we got the main gear down, what that does, that spoils the air coming over the wings, and it reduces the lift, and so it would have made it settle onto the runway a little bit nicer. That's why there's an auto spoiler feature on airliners. There we go. I managed to get it out there. So there we go. Let's jump down here real quick. Control. No, that's not the right one. I still don't remember what all these are. Let's see. We don't want to turn the APU gen on yet. We need to come back here. Actually, what we need to do is we need to just see if the APU is running. The APU is running. So now we can turn the APU gen on, and that allows us to turn the engines off. So we'll go 1 and 2. Fantastic. And then we'll leave all those gens on. And then in a second here, it should tell us that external power is available. We'll see if it does or not. Unavailable. Turn on. Give it a second here. Let's see if it's available. We're still waiting for that N1 to come down, so it could just be waiting on that, because it should tell us it's available. Anyway, as far as the fuel goes, we took it up to 215, and that was at like 50 miles out, and it's down to 131. So this thing is burning way too much fuel. It's absolutely crazy how much fuel this thing is burning. And I don't know who came up with those numbers. I think somebody just guessed and threw a number in there, because there's just no way. So let's look at it like this real quick. So we started with a full load of fuel, right? So let's throw it to 100% here. And what does that give us? 860 gallons of fuel. We went all the way down to like 50 or 60. So let's just call it 60. And then I took it back up to 215. So what's 215 minus 50 is what? 165? I think so. I might be wrong there. So 860 plus 165 is 1,025 gallons of fuel that we loaded in total. Now we had what, 131 left, so we'll just subtract 130 from that. And hold on, I'm not quick at math. I'm writing this on a piece of paper. That's a 9. And that's so 995 gallons of fuel. Okay, 995 gallons of fuel is what we burn. Now 995 times 6, that's 5,970 pounds of fuel. 5,970 pounds. This holds a max of 5,762 pounds. So I might have been a little off on how much was in there. I just glanced at it real quick and said that's really low. But either way, so basically we burned about 200 pounds of fuel more than this aircraft is designed to hold, right? But we went barely over 900 miles. So how does this aircraft have a range of 3,500 nautical miles? Well, it should have a range of 3,500 nautical miles. And this is, I didn't change our payload. Our payload is at 21%. So there's no reason we should have burned that much fuel. So this is basically burning 3 times the amount of fuel, a little over 3 times the amount of fuel that it should be burning, which is just absolutely crazy when you think about it. So if we're burning 3 times the amount of fuel we should be burning, that means for any long flights, we're going to have to do essentially mid-air refueling, which I don't like doing, but what are you going to do? The aircraft just doesn't have the actual range that it's supposed to have. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the suggestion. Our next flight is going to go from here to Lake Tahoe South. I haven't even looked at it yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing what that entails. And then from that flight, I'm going to be asking for suggestions again, and I'll do the same thing. I'll take 2 suggestions, and we'll go to both of those destinations, one after the other, and then we'll ask you guys again, because I want you guys to be involved, but I also want to get an opportunity to try and get videos done a little quicker when I have the time to do them, because with a new baby in the house and everything else going on, Sometimes I want to have the time to do videos. So the more I can get done in advance, the better. So feel free in the comments section of this video to give me suggestions for a destination from Lake Tahoe South. I don't know if there's a north and a south airport, but either way, Lake Tahoe South is going to be our next airfield. So if you want to give some suggestions from Lake Tahoe to somewhere else, feel free to give them. I think we should start, we came out west, we should start maybe bouncing our way towards the east, and eventually, ultimately, I'd like to cross the pond in this thing. We'll have to mid-air refuel like 4 or 5 friggin' times, but whatever. It is what it is. And so let me know, and that's the way we're going to carry on with this series. I do hope that you're enjoying it, and I hope that you enjoyed this flight. I had a great time with it, learned a few more things about the aircraft, made it a lot of fun, and the approach was really cool. So great suggestion, and I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to flying into Lake Tahoe. That was one of your suggestions as well. If you have not already done so, please take the opportunity to smash that subscribe button. We are close to 9,000 now. I'd love to see us at 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. As of the recording of this, it is the last day of August, which means we got 4 months. We got time. September, October, November, and December. If we can hit 10,000 by the end of the year, then at the start, sometime early next year, I want to do some sort of giveaway. It's not going to be nothing huge. I don't have lots of money, so it won't be anything grandiose or anything like that, but I do want to give something away just to show my gratitude for your guys' support. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. That lets me know that I'm doing a good job and that you like the content. If you didn't, well, you can feel free to give it a thumbs down, but please put some type of kind but constructive criticism in the comments section down below. I've got a few videos that have a lot of thumbs down on them, but nobody has anything constructive to say about it. I get a couple of nasty grams, I just delete those, and I've had a couple of debates that have turned out just fine, as a matter of fact. So please let me know what you think down in the comments. I certainly try to read all of them, and I appreciate the feedback very much. That's it. That's all and no more, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, as always, keep the blue side up, unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all. Have an absolutely wonderful day.